Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. Now, some of you may have noticed I did not do this podcast last Monday, which kind of is my regular thing on Mondays. I do the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. And the reason for that was I wasn't in the right headspace for that. There's been a lot of sort of stressful and anxiety-inducing things going on in my life, including 3 different family vehicles that we're having problems with and fairly expensive repairs. Our washing machine is basically failing. It's on its last legs, and just having that diagnosed, that was not all that cheap. So need to buy a new washing machine. Had some plumbing issues as well. That set me back about $300. What else? Oh, Connor gone in the Army for the 3 weeks leading right up until leaving for his wedding, combined with his broken finger exposure fracture thing, and not getting a whole lot of information on that. There's just been a number of things. Oh, and of course, just preparing for this trip for the wedding. I'm a very sort of empathetic type of a person. I pick up a lot of other people's anxiety in addition to my own. So it was sort of a weird patch for me. And I don't know that I'm necessarily out of that weird patch yet, but I still wanted to make sure that I got in one last video podcast before going off on our trip, which is the next topic. So I have mentioned that we're going to Hawaii for Connor and Jaden's wedding. We went to Hawaii 3.5 years ago. Literally, within a week of us getting back was when the whole COVID thing exploded, and there was all the shutdowns and travel restrictions and all of that stuff. So our timing was sort of perfect there. It was a great trip. We went to Oahu and then we went to Maui. We spent about a week in each place. And it was supposed to be a once-in-a-lifetime trip. That's sort of the reason why I agreed to it. It was not something that was really in our budget, but once-in-a-lifetime trip. Well, now here we are 3.5 years later, taking a once-in-a-lifetime trip, which also not especially in the budget. So I'm a smidge stressed on that. The other thing that sort of stresses me out about this is the last time I kind of took some time off from the Serious Keto channel was in October of last year. So September of last year was great. It was absolutely the best month for the channel. Things I'm trying to figure out from your perspective, it was just gradually incrementing up. It was really nice. It wasn't quite the money I was making at GE, but this is my full-time gig right here. This is my income. It was finally to a place where I felt good again. I felt, okay, this is sustainable. I can do this. I can make content, keto content, cooking content, product reviews, podcasts, etc. And this is my job. This is wonderful. It was a dream come true. But it was pretty stressful, and I felt I needed to take a little bit of time off and took the month of October off. And the channel has not recovered since then. Almost immediately, income dropped. And I know a lot of you don't care about the income aspect, but it kind of leads into what is the future of Serious Keto, or is there a future for Serious Keto? Income just cratered. Views, kind of everything just took a nosedive. Somehow I guess I fell out of the good graces of the YouTube algorithm, and the channel has not recovered. So imagine if for your job, what you do to make a living, someone said, yeah, you're going to take a 50% pay cut, and it's going to last at least a year. That's a hard pill to swallow, and that's kind of where Serious Keto is right now. And that means that after this trip, I may have to do some evaluating. If things don't pick up, who knows? Maybe we have a September like we had last year. Maybe this is just summer's sort of a lull, and all of a sudden things will take back off for keto and for Serious Keto. That's my hope. But this does lead me to one thing that I can ask of you. This is a huge, huge ask. Well, it's huge for you to, well, how do I want to explain this? It's not hard for you to do, but it would mean so very much to me. While I'm away over the next 2 weeks, I've got one video recorded. If I can get it edited and release it in time, I'm going to do that. Otherwise, there will be a giveaway that I'll be doing while we're away. But if you, my viewers, could do me a huge, huge solid, while I'm gone, get out and watch some of my other videos. Watch some older videos. I have over 770 videos. There's got to be some you haven't seen. I know some of you have been with me since the very beginning, but go back, watch some older videos, discover some older recipes, binge watch the podcast. Put it on while you're sleeping. I've had some people say that my voice puts them to sleep, so just put on the podcast playlist and go to bed. I'll knock you right out. If you could do that for me, if we could keep the views up. Oh, and another thing that would be cool, here's an idea. So this is sort of helping out the algorithm. When you go out and find some video that you think is really great, a great recipe, something that you'd not seen before, and wow, this is super cool, I love it, or a kitchen hack, or maybe there's a particular podcast, or one of my episodes of Pragmatic Keto, where I'm taking a particular topic, like the cost of keto, and you find that you really enjoyed it, hit the share button. And I'm not going to ask you to share across all social media, unless you really want to, but hit that share button, copy the link, and then come back here and leave a comment and paste that link. And maybe, here's what I love about this video, or I never knew this existed, or something like that. I think then people can come back to this particular podcast and see some of what the other fan favorite videos are. It feels weird for me to say fan. Subscriber videos or viewer videos. It's weird for me to think that I have fans, but whatever. What I'm saying is by hitting that share button, coming back to this video, pasting it into a comment, I think that helps out the YouTube algorithm in a couple of ways. One, comments always help. And two, I think returning to this video helps. And three, anytime you click that share button or the like button, sorry, my watch just banged the table there, that's probably going to make a noise. Anytime you hit share or like, that helps out the algorithm. So if you could do that for me while I'm gone, I would be super duper grateful. So back to Hawaii, because some people have asked, where are you going? Is it going to be impacted by the wildfires? The answer is we're going to Oahu for, I think, 3 days, and then we're going to Maui, which is where the wildfires are. And this has created a considerable amount of stress and anxiety within the Serious Keto extended family. The plan is still to go. We've talked to some people on the ground in Maui, and it does appear that the fires are sort of isolated, now actually fairly much under control, and that we shouldn't be impacted. We've talked to the wedding planner, photographer, etc., and they say it's still a go. There's a certain part of me that's a little bit conflicted because, to go and be like, hey, we're having fun, and look, we're on the beach, and we're going snorkeling, and we're going to a luau, and all of this. It seems a little bit weird to do that sort of in the shadow of the destruction that has occurred on that island over the last week or so. But at the same time, the economy of Maui, I think, is almost purely driven by tourism. So to not go is to basically withhold dollars from them at a time when they probably need it very badly. As I mentioned before, when we went last time, it was right before COVID. And of course, any tourism was just dramatically impacted by COVID. And now you've got these fires. I feel that there's a certain, I think saying charitable goes too far, but I think there's an obligation, I think, for us to still go and to pump whatever money we can into the economy of Maui. So that is our plan. If something goes sideways while we're in Oahu, we'll make changes. But that's the plan right now. We're still going. And even though I won't be probably releasing any video content, probably, I say, except for the giveaway, if I can do some stuff on the iPhone and I can edit it on my laptop and still post some stuff and not have it take away a lot of time from the family, I may do that. The plan probably is just to post some pictures on Instagram or maybe some shorts. I may also, for my paid channel members, do a little bit of a, here's some brief little behind the scenes sort of videos. But that's probably going to be it. for the next 2 weeks. You're not going to see a whole lot of me, except unless you're doing what I asked you to do earlier, which is go back and watch some of my older videos. Now, the one last thing that I want to tie into this whole Hawaii discussion before I take a brief little break here is I had to go out and get a dress shirt. Well, I didn't have to, I guess. Well, the wife would have not been pleased had I not gotten a new dress shirt. All of my dress shirts are pretty much from back in the Heavy Steve days, and they are big on me. In fact, I'll put one right over here. That actually used to be fairly tight on me, and it's now just an absolute circus tent. So I haven't had a lot of dress shirts, or I haven't really had a need to get any new dress shirts, because outside of my father-in-law's funeral, I haven't needed a dress shirt. And I think I found one that was still small enough and I could kind of cinch it back behind me and make it tight enough that worked, with a suit jacket on. But I had to go out and get a new dress shirt. And let me tell you, dress shirts are designed, it seems like, a lot more for old Steve, the heavier Steve, than the current Steve. Because dress shirts they're not athletically cut. And the guy, he measured my neck, and I want you to know, this is not like Steve bragging here, like Steve saying, oh, look at me, I'm all muscular and stuff. They measured my neck, they measured my arm, they tried on Calvin Klein, which tends to run a little bit small, just across the entire brand. And it looked like I was going through the Hulk transformation, like I was going to rip out of it. Like through the arms, I bet I could have flexed and just probably blown out a seam or something. It was just tight. It was hard getting my arm through the actual sleeve. And even though he had measured my neck, there was no way I was buttoning it. I couldn't come within 4 inches of buttoning it across the chest. So there was a lot of searching to try and find the right shirt, one that would fit me, through the neck, through the shoulders, through the chest, taper at the waist a bit. And eventually I found one. I think it looks pretty slick. So if it does in fact look slick on camera, I'll take a picture of that and put it on Instagram. But it just makes me wonder, since I'm not like super duper athletic built, how hard is it for Thomas DeLauer to find a dress shirt? It must be impossible. But then again, if I were Thomas DeLauer, I'd never wear a shirt anyway, just because it looks great. But that is one of the side effects of keto. Your body changes shape. Some of those old clothes don't fit so good anymore, and you got to buy some new ones. And in some situations, it might be tricky finding that dress shirt. As is often the case with the podcast, I wind up revisiting topics from the previous week or previous weeks. And this week is no exception, as I talk about the carb managing app and its pronunciation. It's spelled let me take a look here just to make sure I don't misspell it. Cronometer. And I asked all of you, how do you think you pronounce that? And there was absolutely no consistency in the answers. It was all over the place. From Cronometer, Cronometer, all kinds of different stuff. I think I'm going to settle with Cronometer. Yeah. If I find myself using it in a sentence, that's how I'm going to use it. Or I'll just use Carb Manager. The thing I like about Cronometer is I don't believe it's like, well, first, Carb Manager I think is more like Wikipedia. Like anybody can update it. So you go in and you see all kinds of different, you put in onion, or you put in a product like Keto Chow. End users can put in Keto Chow, and as a result, you see all kinds of different versions. Which one do I click on? Which one, But Cronometer, that I think goes directly to the manufacturer. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Like the manufacturer of the product needs to submit it. And I'm sure Chris Bear from Keto Chow will probably chime in on this, because I know he's got some firsthand experience with it. But that's one of the benefits to that software. I do find it a little bit trickier in terms of entering recipes when I'm calculating carbs, to put on my recipe cards on my website. It seems a little bit awkward to me. And maybe that's just because I got used to Carb Manager and then moved on to Cronometer. But anyhow, that's it. I'm calling it Cronometer. You can call it whatever you want. doesn't matter, but I'm calling it Cronometer. I think I've made that pretty clear. The other topic, and I was thinking about saving this for the very end of the podcast because it seems like Brussels sprouts fans are pretty easily triggered and upset when I talk about Brussels sprouts. So I'm still going to talk about it right now. Brussels sprouts. Wow, man, that is clearly a hot button issue for a number of different viewers. I don't know if there is a more divisive food than Brussels sprouts. Maybe cilantro, because people seem to love or hate cilantro as well. But what surprises me about Brussels sprouts is whenever I say I don't like Brussels sprouts, people seem to get angry about that. That baffles me. Like, there is no food you could come to me and say, well, I don't like tacos. I don't like pizza. I don't like beef. I might say, wow, that's kind of weird, but, or at least seems weird to me, but that's fine. I'm not going to try and convince you ought to eat beef or pizza or tacos. Oh, you're just preparing it wrong. You need to add more bacon. I don't care. If somebody doesn't like a food, that's fine. That's their decision. Yet with Brussels sprouts, it seems like there is a significant part of the population that gets genuinely, I'm having some issues with pronunciation today, genuinely perturbed that I don't like Brussels sprouts. Now, I will say that a number of people put various preparation methods in their responses to me. You should try it this way. Or, I don't think anybody actually came out and said, you're just doing it wrong, which I usually get. But I got a number of different preparation suggestions. I would say 90% of them involve bacon, which, win right there. And there were a few that I think maybe I'd be willing to try. In fact, I will say, here's my concession to the Brussels spam. Boy, tough time today with the language. I'm not going to edit any of this out. So, but now I've totally lost my train of thought. Brussels sprouts. Oh, here's my concession to the Brussels sprouts fans. I will try Brussels sprouts again this autumn. I will try a couple of the different recipes or methods that were suggested to me. And if I find that I can make Brussels sprouts in a way that I enjoy Brussels sprouts, I will make a video of it. And I will give credit to the viewer and or viewers that made the suggestions that I followed. So there you go. Now, one of the things I was wondering about is correlation between liking or not liking Brussels sprouts. I also had some people say it's Brussels sprouts, not Brussels sprouts. Okay, I put the two words together. They just combine, the S's sort of overlap, deal with it. Brussels sprouts. But I'm wondering if there's a correlation between, like I had mentioned cilantro before. I like cilantro. A lot of people, cilantro tastes like soap. So I'd be curious to know, if you like Brussels sprouts, do you also like cilantro? Is there any sort of correlation or inverse correlation there? The other thing, and I had done a video, Courtney and I did, of a super taster test. And I'll put that in the end card. That can be one of the videos, older videos that you watch. And I am a super taster. Is there a correlation between being a super taster and not liking Brussels sprouts? The other thing I'm also wondering about is there a correlation between liking Brussels sprouts and not having a sense of humor? Just based on some of the replies that I got. But I'm not going to ask about that. What I will ask, though, down in the comments below is, do you like Brussels sprouts? If yes or no. Do you like cilantro? Yes or no. And if you have taken a super taster test, are you a super taster? Yes or no. It would be interesting then to compile that and to come back and say, oh, look, there seems to be a relationship here between one or more of these variables. So that's your second homework assignment, should you choose to do so while I'm gone in Hawaii. So the first one, watch some old videos. Second one, respond to that little poll that I did. It would be great if I could put polls, attach polls to videos in YouTube. You can do them separately in the community channel for a given page, but you can't, as far as I know, attach them to a video. That would be cool if I could. Maybe someday. But I think that is going to be it for this video because I need to start getting things packed away and squared away for our trip. What I'm going to do over here, I'm going to put 2 videos. I will put the Courtney and Steve Super Taster test right up there. And I don't know, maybe I'll throw my entire podcast playlist underneath. That way you can just run that in perpetuity over the next 2 weeks. It'll be like I'm always there with you. But for right now, I gotta head out. So as always, thanks for watching.